business, to economy, to politics, to technology. And that's all we do here on Newspunch, from the beginning to the end. And that is why we are Ben. Keep watching Newspunch from Ben Television. And today, I'll be your host. All right, thank you for joining us on the program. And the program is News Punch coming to you live from Ben Television. My name is Tunde Alabi. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program today. This evening, we'll be taking a look at social services and safeguarding children or safeguarding policy, and we'll join this with the idea of disciplining and passing our instructions to our children so that they don't get radicalized on one side. How do you discipline your child or children so that you don't get into trouble with social services? In our community, where some of us are scared of um, passing out some disciplines on our children, but I've had guests who have come to the studio here to tell me that if you don't discipline your child, or the government says do not discipline your child, but the same government can help you discipline your child, they put them in jail, they put them in prison, they put anchors on them, and they get into trouble. But so on the show today, how do we balance our responsibility as parents in a way that we can discipline our children in a way that they don't get into social services problem, and in a way that we can manage these in um, most possible way that we would not against will not be against the rules of the land, and we will also be protecting our community through some of the things we do. These are the issues we'll be looking at on the program today. I'm joined on the show by professionals, people who are actually in the center of these policies, social services, safeguarding, and security services. I'm joined first on my immediate right, Toyin Bodri. Toyin Bodri is a project worker in this area. Toyin, thank you for joining us on the program
Thank you
today.
for having me here.
And close to Toyin is Alexander Kuye. Alexander is a former police officer with Metropolitan Police here in London. Alexander, thank you for joining us on the
Thanks for
program
having
today.
me.
And Florence and Marcose. Florence and Marcose is the CEO of Word of Hope. Is an organization that is in charge of supporting um, young people and family in London. Florence, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start with you, Alexander. If you look at what is happening in our society today, let's take first look at the Manchester bombing and look at the London um, knife crisis. They are just a reflection of home bringing, family culture, family way of life, or societal value taken off from extreme religious organizations. Do parents or family have a role to play in shaping the ideas, values, virtues their children really have?
Well, thank you very much, Tunde, for inviting me on the show. Well, like you just said, a lot of young people grow up in this country. Growing up in this country is very challenging itself. Being a young person is even more challenging. Now, we say, and I'm from a Nigerian household, we say that, you discipline your kids so they could be better tomorrow. Unfortunately, the current climate that we live in, we don't have that ammunition. Parents do not have the power to control their kids legally, but also the fact is that even when they do, they run the risk of being penalized. Currently, we live in broken Britain. Whether we like it or not, Britain is broken. It's broken because we have a lot of young people who have so much potential who can't get there. We have a lot of young people who want to go on to do well in life and being stopped because of the color of their skin or because of their name they have on their application form. So this brings up a lot of anger and hate that their only choice, unfortunately, is going down the wrong place. Now, we've just recently had the terror bombings, which affected not just BME communities, but communities around the UK. We've had loads of stabbings this year, just one recently on Tottenham High Road. Now, we have this problem. The government will say we're going to put more police on the streets. The local community will say, oh well, we want more police on the streets. And then the parents and then the media will say, well, the parents need to, give ammunition to their kids and discipline them. But it's not the case. It's a collective issue. We all need to work together. There needs to be laws that say, hey, you know what, you can beat your kids. There is. But at the end of the day, your kids can go and call the police and get your parents arrested. Stabbing. We've had this year-on-year stabbings with young people has gone up. We can't change that. But what we need to do is actually look at a way collectively with the police, community, local community leaders to ensure that we can get people working together to ensure that we eradicate this problem.
Troy, what are the basic challenges parents have in bringing up their children in a certain control and discipline that will shape the kind of values and virtues they believe in is in the best interest of the society?
I think if you remember, I think it was last year that I was on this program and we were talking about discipline and implementing discipline at home. I quite agree with what Alexandra said to some certain extent, but I think it comes from upbringing. It comes from right from when the child is growing up. What is the love? What is the relationship between you and your child when that child is growing up? You're not just there to instill discipline. You're there to love that child so that when there's that sort of relationship between you and your child as that child grows up, you would know if there's any changes in that child's behavior or that child's attitude or that young person coming home with expensive items or something you don't think you've given that child enough money to buy. That is when it is not a rocket science. That is when the alarm is on, like, what is this young person getting involved in? So that is the earliest stage. That is how to kind of deal with this. Interact with your child, know what is going on with that young person. When they're quiet, you know that there's something
Is it about interacting with a child? What if the child is not interested in actually interacting with you? Is love equal to discipline?
Absolutely. You can't keep on instilling discipline without loving that child. There is boundary. You cannot.
Can love actually be too much? You are showing love, but in actually you're spoiling the child. Is that possible?
The love can be too. When the love is too much, that means you're spoiling the child. But when you have your boundaries set, that is not too much love. That means you're there to support that child through when they're growing up, education. You want to know how that child is doing in school. You want to know everything about that child. You want to be able to say, okay, it's 4 o'clock. My child will be in any moment from now, and that child will be in. But if you're not there, the child is coming home to an empty home. That is where this starts. There's no parental love. There's no attention. Then they seek that attention from elsewhere.
How do you mean love, parental love? What do you mean by parental love?
Simple thing like, oh, hello, how are you? How was your day today? You don't have to spend money. Do things together. Cook together. Wash the car together. That is enough. You don't need to take your child out and go and splash money on them. That kind of interaction alone, without costing a penny, you're gradually knowing your child. You're gradually watching that child growing up. You're gradually getting to know the likes and the dislikes of that child. And the child is gradually learning to know what my parents are capable of doing, what my parents accept, what is acceptable in my household, and what is not acceptable in my household.
Florence, does our community, our society, the BMA community have a problem with discipline and bringing on their children? Do we?
We do.
Why?
In the sense that most of us, where we are coming from, we have a culture there whereby we are free to do anything we like to our children. We can use anything to beat our children. Some will use the broom, some will use stick, some will use horse whip to tell you the freedom of discipline we have over there. And we don't really have the law that will actually restrict us or regulate, the level we should go. I think that also has it does impact us with the way we discipline our children. So, and I've seen so many families, and where I come from too, the way we were brought up in a harsh way, you were disciplined with us whip, and after you be beaten, you cry your head out, and the lecture you get is that I'm doing this because I love you, because I do not want you to go astray. You see that? And today, we're all doing very well, my simply, And I remember my father, before he died, he would say, you see now, I'm proud of all of you now. Remember, if I did not handle you with tough hand those days, you will not be what you become today. But in fairness, it is not all children that survive it. So even though in a process, incident has occurred, it has led to death. So these are the things we need to caution ourselves towards, because and especially in this environment where everybody are frustrated. The system is very frustrating. People are losing their job in anyhow. You see that? Fathers are leaving the home. You see? So mom is tense, stressed out, with her coping with all 3 kids, 4 kids by herself. So that's why most of Nigerian women, they are in a psychiatric unit today. And it is something that we need.
Is this limited to Nigerian women?
No, but the population of Nigerian women, they are overrepresented. So it is an issue. So these are the things we need to look into. If it's becoming an issue, we're supposed to...
Just opposing the kind of level of discipline and instrument of discipline you have just related in the Nigerian circumstance to that of the United Kingdom. How does that level affect or impact on ability or inability to apply same instrument or implement of discipline here in Britain?
I think the problem...
What impact does it have?
Yeah, the problem we had is that we lack integration. When we come to this country, we just want to restrict our movement just within our community. We don't feel that, okay, let me just even go to Asian community, let me go to their market, or let me go to where I could learn something different from my own culture.
But that is not an issue, even because the Jewish community, they are just strictly within their community. The money of the Jewish community circulates within the Jewish community. Asian community, they relate probably principally among themselves.
I think
is that an issue, basically, that the BME community, the African Nigerian community, like, I just want to be within my community? Should that impact on the kind of discipline, lack or not lack of discipline they give to their children?
No, it depends on how it comes to be. You study Jewish, Asian, they're very supportive. It takes a community to raise a child. That is the culture they practice.
But so in our community, do we have an instance where parents themselves, mother themselves, they are very overprotective of their children? They don't even want others to actually have a say in what goes on in their household. They don't want people to touch their children.
No, they do want it. Most Nigerian community, they do expose their children for another people to discipline them, because that is what we practice back home.
Okay, my question, I'm still on this issue of the implement of disciplines you made reference to while you were talking earlier, and how the ability to use or not use this implement of discipline has actually impacted on the level of discipline of children in Britain.
It's just like what my colleague just said, that bringing up a child, it starts from at a very younger age. You can't leave a child until when they are big enough. Then you want to now start chastising them. It might be too late. If you show there's difference between love and spoil, and we must understand that. A child that is being brought up with love, you will be able to sit down one-to-one, talk about issues. You have a family meeting, it could be ordinary popcorn, and you enjoy it. You see that? And these are the strategy we are implementing, helping parents and family to implement in their homes, whereby you develop an environment for your children to talk, to open up, so that those issues, if they don't have the free mindset or free environment to interact with their parents, to open up, they will go out there and they will interact with the gangster, and they will get wrong counsel.
Alexander, I mean, how much of these, of what she has said, actually play out in reality on young people as they grow up?
I think in reality, I just want to touch upon a point about integration. Do I believe that BME communities integrate with other communities? No. Do I believe that BME communities, especially the African communities, integrate with other communities? I don't believe so. And one thing that we lack, especially in the African community, is community leaders. It seems to work. We have community leaders in churches, we have community leaders in mosques, but when it comes to having community leaders within the community, there seems to be a problem. Now, I had the joys of working in black areas. So I've worked in Haringey, I've worked in Hackney, I've worked in Tower Hamlets. In Haringey, you can pick quite a few community leaders who are from the Caribbean community, who come out when there's issues and they deal with stuff. I'm not disputing there probably are African community leaders, but when incidents happen, it's great to see that people from the African community who know that community can come out to say, hello, Mr. Policeman, I know that person. That person is a good boy, and I'm here to supervise what you're doing. Unfortunately, we don't see that. It's always, being like, oh, what's happening? Something's happened. Let me go back into my house. I'm not involved. But in the Caribbean community, I've noticed that from my experiences, and I've probably seen it all. I was here at the riots, I did everything, and I saw that the Caribbean community, whatever creed you are, it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, whatever, they come out, if they see a young person doing something, they will shout at him and say, don't do it again. And I really do feel that we need to embrace that ethos of saying, you know what, we can't keep doing, I live in this house, I'm only going to protect my house, I'm only going to protect the little bit of my children, but actually take an active role in going out the community and say, hello, the police, I want to be a community leader within the area. I want to ensure that young people in my area are safe. It's not a police job. It's not only a police job. It's not a school's job, but also it's a community job. And that's parents, that's people who live in a particular area as well.
She made reference to implements of discipline earlier on from Nigeria. How does that impact, being able or not being able to use, impact on the kind of discipline that parents assert on their children while growing up?
Well, I'm not saying a lot of children, from my experience, a lot of children do get some sort of discipline when they're growing up. When it comes to when they become teenagers, it starts to become a bit tough, and that's because a lot of young people are very rebellious. I'm not saying that parents are not disciplining their kids. I believe they are, but there's a point where you have to say to your child, hey, you're 12, 13, you can't be whipping them. As much as I believe that it's right in some way, you need to say, you know what, let's sit down, let's talk about it. And one thing I believe, especially within our community, is that our kids are so scared of their parents when they're growing up that they can't even sit down with their own parents and say, Dad, this is what happened in school today. Oh, Dad, can we do this? Mum, can we do this? Can we do this? I remember personally when I was growing up, I was scared of my own dad. Not because he was a bad person, but because he installed fear into me. I couldn't ask him to take me to McDonald's because he would say, no, you're not having McDonald's, there's food at home. But we need to have that openness of culture where, Dad, let's have a conversation. What are we doing today? These little things do help. And unfortunately, the young people of nowadays simply ain't getting that.
He spoke about rebellious. I mean, that seems very not an unusual language in young people of today. Quite a lot of them, regardless of love or discipline, are rebellious. You say sit down, they tell you, no, Mom, I'm not sitting down, I want to stand up. And you can't do anything to change their mind. How do you manage that? If that happens from where we're coming from, sit down. You say, I'm standing up. You get one slap, you sit down immediately. You can't do that here. Does that affect the level of control? Because what a teenager says he or she wants to do, she goes on to do it. You can't change that. How do you control or manage that?
This still stems back to raising your kid. To be honest with you, African community, we're very good when we just have the baby, like that attachment is there. And when a child grows up with a secure attachment, it's very easy for them to form attachment with other adults. Do you understand what I mean? So when you realize that the child is growing up and becoming rebellious against you, there will be another adult that child would have formed a very good relationship with. Like in the church, I can use my son as an example. He will come and he will just run back home and go and play PlayStation. And I just said, I'm tired of this, but why is he like this? And there's one particular person that can actually talk to him. And I said, I don't know what to do about him. And he said, oh, don't worry. And he'll keep on talking to him. And gradually, he's off to the uni. He's doing really well. There will be one person. That is the importance of a community. That is the importance of being in a community. That is the importance of the system. You look at the system involved the community is include religious place place of worship. There will be that particular person that child will have interest in. If you understand what I mean, the child might be rebellious against you, but there will be a time, the time that child is going through that phase, you have another adult that child have a positive relationship with that can actually talk to that child. And eventually that child...
Those are community have issues in social services and safeguarding children when they are trying to discipline their children and bring them up.
It's because of how we perceive social services. Social services don't want to... There's not enough funding to get involved in all this. Social services prefer to work with that child within the community that child is in, rather than removing that child. So they will ask you, do you have a support network? Your support network can be your church, can be people from your place of worship, can be your neighbor, can be your cousin. They look at your support network because they don't want to remove the child or the young person away from the wider community and go and place that young person in a different community where that young person knows no one.
When did that start?
That has been in existence.
But we've seen instances where social services take children from their family and put them somewhere.
Right, they will take
and
the
that's
children.
why most parents are actually scared of
so
asserting authority and disciplining their children because they are afraid of social services.
Social services will only take a child when that child is at risk. It's really at risk, vulnerable risk. That is when they will take that child out of the household. And that is not like taking the child out, it's to investigate. And if nothing is wrong, maybe the father needs to go for a parenting class, or the parents need to go to, both parents need to go to a parenting class. They want to support that family. They want to support that child within the family. But when you refuse to open your door, they don't know what is going on within the closed door. That is when they think that child is at risk of significant harm, or probably going through significant harm. That is when the child is removed from the household.
One thing our community actually is afraid of is when you say social services. What? Social services? They don't want to go near social services. And so the fear of the social services is actually the bane of some of the challenges in actually bringing up our children in the community. Why? How come? Is these guys in the social services, are they like some kind of monster taking children away, or taking people's children away?
That's very interesting. Social services, they're not monster, but otherwise, social services, they're not all the time right as well. You know, we must admit that sometimes they do make mistake when they do assessment. But over the years, one thing I've seen, the change I've seen within the social services, especially when people like us start rising to be talking to them, not giving up, we've realized that some social services do not understand where we're coming from. You see that? You know, it's just like somebody that was brought up with cane, and you are now bringing up your child with cane, and there's bruise on the child report in the school, or the child now say, oh, well, you tell your child that, okay, I will kill you today, and the child will go to school. Maybe, unfortunately, that day too, they have done something bad at school. And it's okay, we're going to call your mom and tell your mom what you've done. And he said, no, don't call my mom because she said she's going to kill me already. You see that? A white teacher, you know, we
don't understand the word
understand
kill.
That, oh, that word kill, mom was just using it as...
Does not actually
not that
translate
she
to
meant
kill.
it. But and at the same time, we need to be aware of the environment where we live. That statement is a statement. You see that? A statement is part of evidence.
But shouldn't culture, community culture, individual background culture form part of the assessment strategies for social services or for social worker?
Yeah,
when
that
they are
is
doing
the
their
changes
assessment?
we've been seeing of recent. So it has now been embedded into their policy, whereby sometimes some local authority will call word of folk to say, okay, this is the situation. Can you help us look at this case? You see that? Then we look at it from the angle of cultural issues to see, okay, if you work with this mom, at least the mom will understand what she had done wrong, and she will be taught about the law that govern bringing up a child here in a safety environment. You understand? Can you imagine when the parent is dictating how many days a child should, the child should go to school? You see that? Is that normal?
How do you mean?
You know, I've seen a family whereby the parent will be say, okay, oh, I can only take this child to school three days this week. You see that? And in this country, if your child do not go to school, only at a certain age, is a criminal offense.
Yeah.
You see that? So these are all the things we're now trying to work with local authority and the parent, because parents need to be widely educated as well. There are so many things which they do not know about the system here.
Isn't this the real problem parents actually have?
That's
Giving too much power. Those children actually, I mean, Alexander, this is the point now. In this country, young adults, teenagers, they know, they are very conscious of their power. They know the limitation of their parents. They know their parents, mom, dad, they are kind of, their hands are tied. And they tend to play on that widely very lot of time. Isn't that?
Unfortunately, that's the case, and it's very sad that unfortunately, in the current climate that we live in, that it's the case. But from my point of view, I believe that safeguarding is there for a reason. We've had some horrendous things in the past. Victoria Kilimbié was one of them, and many others. We even had Baby P. And this doesn't just focus on one particular community. Now, a lot of parents know the limitations. I feel our generation of parents, do know the limitations of their parents. When I was growing up, I remember in school there was called Childline. Now, the thing about Childline that still resonates with me today was the school actively told you, if your mother hit you, you call Childline and they'll get her away. Now, I recently was dealing with a particular young family in South
And
London.
the school actually teaches that.
Yeah, they teach that. I'm not sure if they do that now, but when I was there, Childline, every single child knew the number. I still know the number till today. It's 0800 555 111. That is the number we were told to call, or the NMPC. I still remember them. They even gave you a sticker with the number. That was how it was when I was growing up. Now, I was working with a young person and a young family before I left the police force just this year. Now, the mother told me that it was a Nigerian boy, this particular Nigerian boy, always giving me trouble. I don't know what to do. And I noticed when the mum was talking to me, she used to shake a lot. When I asked her, like, is there any problem? Have you been hit by him or whatever? She said, she saw my name badge and said, you're a Nigerian. I said, yes, I am. And she was like, you know, I'm an overstayer in the country and I don't want to call the police or get involved or get social services involved because I'm scared that they might deport me home. And unfortunately, that boy knows that. And that's one of the reasons and one of the triggers of him actually doing the nonsense that he does. He would go and not come back for 2-3 days. And he knows that the mum can't call the police because she's scared of the status in the country. And it's sad that in 2017 this is still the case and we're still talking about discipline with young people. But unfortunately, it's inevitable.
I'm sorry for cutting you short. My question is, will any amount of love from the mom ever change such a child? I'm going to come back to you. I've got a call on there. Ania, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good evening, Ania. Do I have your name right? Ania? Good evening. Do I have her?
Hello?
Is she on the line?
Yeah?
Okay, can I ask you to speak louder? Do I get your name right, Anya?
Well, what I just want to contribute on it is nothing but parents themselves have to be friendly with the children. Hello?
Yes, go on.
You see, when we have to talk to them, we sit together with them, say, oh, look, let's have a conversation in a good way. But if you shout at them, they will not like you. But just be friendly with them, say, let's have a chat. Then you talk to them, this is how things go, and this is how it goes.
Anya,
And
did
you
you
tell them the right thing that, look, my dear, in as much as I love you, I don't want you to go astray. But just listen. I'm your mommy. I can't deceive you. Make me proud. Face your studies. Don't follow gang. Because this is what I told my children. Don't follow gang. Because once they mix with the gang, then we are in trouble. But we parents should be friendly with these children. If we are not friendly with them, we scare them. Make them friends. Friendly with them. Sit with them. Eat together with them. Chat with them most of the time. And tell them to make you proud. This is what I believe. I don't believe in shouting at them. I will cane you. There's no day, no more caning anymore. Those were the days. Now,
did you hear the story just given to us by Alexander about an overstay mom whose son? Did you hear the story given to us by Alexander about an overstay mom whose son has actually come to understand the level of limitation, but the mom and is just taking advantage of that? Will any amount of love, friendship, relationship ever make such a child listen to what is happening at home?
Well, we try not to scare them because we parents scare them. By the time you want to talk to them, you've already put your head up.
All right, now thank you so much. Let me let you go so that we can get back to the studio. Thank you so much. Florence, I mean, let's turn the story given to us by Alexander. This boy has come to understand the limitation around the parents, and is just bullying the mom. Okay, and so much that even when the mom talks, she shakes. She has this fear, visible fear in her. At that level, is it a function of love or cracking the naughtiness out of that boy's head? If that were to be in Nigeria, would such a boy ever do that?
Well, it's very hard to really say the boy might not be able to do that in Nigeria.
Okay, he can't do that. He can never ever do that in Nigeria. Here in this country, he's got to a level where he's gone to that level where he himself has become a bully to the mom.
Do you know one thing I believe in, that there's some conversation we shouldn't be having where we have our children? Do we understand that?
What kind of conversation? When the school is already telling the child, if you're hit by your parent, call this number.
Yeah, but
what conversation will you have that is going to be greater than that?
Can I tell you that I have a son, yeah, when he was growing up, the same thing in the school. He was taught to call the same number when the parent hit him. You understand that? So there was one evening, I have not even yet touched him. When he was telling me, Mom, I will call the police because we've been taught. You understand? Do you know what I did? I sat him down and I said, okay, that's fine. If that is the issue that you don't want me to even speak at all to correct you, when I've not even used anything, I think we can't live together. I have to explain to him, because if you are going to be somebody tomorrow that you go to achieve something in your life, you need to have a level of understanding of what we call discipline and responsibility. I don't need to hit you, but what I would say now is that I think you need to go to the people who gave you that number and find a new family. Do you see, when I brought that out and I packed my son's stuff, and I said, I don't think we're going to live in this house together.
That is actually, isn't that the problem we've got in the black community? The fear of losing our child. So we don't tend to bring them to the knowledge. You call the police, end of story, you're gone.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Isn't that the fear that we lack?
As at that time, I wasn't in a fear to lose him because I haven't done anything. You see that if I've done anything wrong, I think that time I will have the fear.
Is fear a significant factor in family in this country, especially the black ethnic minority community, fear of losing their child is
Of
a
course.
significant factor.
I-
Should that look at the confidence and the boldness? You want to call the police?
Yes.
Great. I pack your
Something
stuff.
anything
You want to
wrong.
go ahead.
That's it.
And that sinks into the child. No, my parents, I don't want to lose them.
But the thing is, looking at all these, social services are not stupid. They're not fool. When you call the police and they call, police don't have, social services have more power over police when it comes to these sort of issues, when it comes to children and young
Well, it's
people.
questionable.
They're going to assess the situation. They're not just,
So
they're not just going to remove
we've
that young
had
person.
instances. I have seen instances over minor cultural issues that social services have come into the family, called the police, issued warning to the mom,
Yeah.
minor issue that could be resolved. I mean, she just said it that sometimes, and a number of times,
Yeah, but that
they
is warning.
outstep their bounds.
That is warning.
And they, don't they?
That is warning. That
But
means
that goes a long way when you already have a written warning from the police. That's a long.
I disagree.
I mean, here's the policeman here.
I disagree into some extent that social services have power over us. I think we work collectively as we don't. There is no someone's higher than other. We work collectively. If I observe a risk on a particular child that I'm dealing with, I have the ownership of that child, saying, I believe there's a risk in that family. Well, this woman has hit her parents, but this is what I believe. It's what is written on paper. It's not what is done on you can go to court, but if I've put on paper that I really do believe that this person is on threat because of being slapped or being
You're
hit,
probably doing that from your background and cultural heritage.
Yeah,
Here
of
we
course.
have, if we do have a white policeman and a white social worker, it's going to be a total different ball game.
It depends.
It depends.
It depends.
Okay,
because
how does that work out?
I have worked with white social workers that even try to learn from our culture. You see that? The problem we have is that it's when you have a social worker who doesn't have understanding of where these people are coming from. That's a total different thing. You understand? And again, when you now have difficult parents that they don't want to engage, it makes it difficult for social worker to even take another step to learn from them. Because if parents fail to engage, you won't be able to get the support from the social services.
But I think we need to be a bit careful here. Like, white people don't hit their kids. White people do hit their kids. I've been to situations where I'm like, oh wow, like, you know, you actually put your hands on kids. White people beat their kids all the time. The only issue is that unfortunately with our community there's a bit of added scrutiny, and I've come to realise that when white people hit their kids, they hit their kid to send them to their room. With black people, we take it a bit further than that. And I think that's where the issue is. The issue isn't, the government have no issue with black people hitting their kids. The government is that you guys will hit them and then take it a bit too far. And then what will happen is that, remember, the law states that you must have a bruise, whether we like it or not. But unfortunately, you know, we will have a bruise, and then this what happens, the social services get involved, then it's a domino effect, and then the poor mother and the poor father ends up going to jail. And it certainly isn't fair.
How do we control, how do we manage this in the best interest of the community, best interest of the child, of the parents, and of the community? Joy.
Well, how we look at it from integrating within the community, making sure that we integrate, we don't live in isolation. That is one of the most important things, because what we tend to do is all these problems stems from living in isolation. When you're doing things behind the closed door, you're thinking, okay, you don't know, it's not like, I don't really know how to explain this further. You think, okay, I'm the only one doing this and I'm going to get in trouble. It is not. It's better to share it. A problem share is half solved. If you're having difficulties or you're thinking you're struggling, social services will even help you financially if you're struggling. That is what most of our culture do not understand. The help is there. The organizations are there. There are lots of voluntary organizations and charities that can help you as a parent, rather than you living in isolation and feeling that, oh, I can't be seen doing this or I can't be seen doing that. So that is where the problems stem from. We need to integrate. We need to understand the culture of where we're in. Most of these like there's child sexual exploitation, there's this radicalization and all these things. Do you know it takes place in isolation? It takes place when these young people are living in isolation, when there is no integration, when there is no family network that we can both look after each other. Oh, this is my problem, I keep it to myself. That is what the problem is. So we need to integrate more within the community.
Integrating more into our community. We need to go on a very short break now. We're still here on the program. I have my guests probably change one or two after this break. I don't know, but we're still on the program. Don't go away. The phone line is already open. When we come back, we have to take more calls. Don't go away.
It's time to own your own properties at any of these cities: Abeokuta, Isheri, Opek, Abuja, Sam Nujoma and Orozo, Lagos, Lekki, Port Harcourt, CAF Gardens. Key Right with major developers and state agencies can make your dream come true. Property and flats start from just £25,000. We can also provide you with property exchange. For more information, please visit www.keyright.co.uk.
Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the newest home away from home in the Nigerian hospitality industry. 10 minutes only from the local and international airports. It's the perfect spot for your relaxation whenever you're in Lagos. 24-hour non-stop electricity, cozy and colorful rooms, Wi-Fi internet connection, and flat screen cable television. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. Our exquisite restaurant and full bar are simply second to none in taste and style. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. We are located at the posh, serene neighborhood in the Keja Business District. Your satisfaction is our first concern, so we train our staff to be professional and personable. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, number 20 Moshuda Biola Crescent, Ikeja, Lagos. Telephone +234 1291 7929 +234 708 287 7512. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the new home away from home.
Something new on Politics with KO. This time around, there's going to be live reports from Nigeria. We'll be going through the geopolitical zones. We'll have correspondents that will be telling you what is happening. A review of monthly events. Since it's once a month, it's going to be your summary. Nigerians in diaspora would not need to go to Nigeria to find out what is happening. We'll be getting live reports. We'll have interviews, and we will also have live phone calls so that it's a conversation between us and yourself. It's an open parliament, free speech, no holds barred. Politics with KO is back.
All right, welcome back, and the program is still Newspunch, coming to you live from Ben Television, and I'm still your host here in the studio, Tunde Alabi Smiling. I'm now joined by Cecilia Thomas. Cecilia, thank you for joining us on the program.
Yes, thank you.
Cecilia, we're talking about social services, security, and safeguarding. My question to you, because we are quickly running out of time, what are the basic problems parents have in our community today in dealing with their children, in managing them, and in controlling them?
Okay. I actually work with young people, care leavers, and I've also been a foster carer. My observation, particularly when it comes to African children, not just Nigerian children, is that we do not have a community. We do not know how to support each other because, for instance, a child might be naughty, arrested by the police. Parents are usually terrified. Parents don't know how to approach the police. They don't know how to talk with the police. And in my working life, I have supported not only African children, but West Indian children, Asian children, children in general. Sometimes our children are taken into care because of the lack of knowledge of parents. For instance, I had 2 young children from Nigeria about 10 years ago now. Their parents were new into the country. They were working hard because they were not eligible for any of the resources within the UK services. So parents, both mum and dad, were working hard. The elder siblings, coming from Nigeria, saw that disciplining their younger ones was to hit them. So they hit the child. The child went to school and said...
Who hit the child?
The brothers.
The brothers.
But the social services took the kids into care simply because they said the parents were not safeguarding the children.
But the child was not hit by the parents, but
by the brothers.
By the brother.
Yes.
So how does that become the problem of the parents?
Because you're supposed to protect your children, irrespective of whether or not you're there.
But we've had, this is an issue between siblings, a brother or sister, thereabout.
Yeah.
Here, ideal situation, why should that be a problem for the parents?
It shouldn't, in theory, be a problem for the parents, but the lack of knowledge of systems within the United Kingdom made it a problem for the parents.
Will that... Okay, let me put you on hold. Alexander, a policeman calling to this. Two young children, same family, brother, sister, they engage in some stuff, and then the other hit the other, had bruises, got to the school, police calling. Should that be the problems of the parents?
Well, unfortunately, no. But it is. And the reason why is that any time a police officer is in contact with a family, whether it's two kids fighting, the mum and dad fighting, or whoever's fighting, but your family members, it has to be written down. Now, remember I told you earlier that wherever that's written and a police officer writes is kind of like God. That's it. You can't change it. You can't alter it. It's whatever. So those two, what's probably happened is those two boys, obviously the brother hitting the younger brother. What's happened? It's been reported. So every single incident where a police officer is talking to a young person has to be reported. It's called a Merlin report. Merlin reports get circulated, which people don't know, gets circulated with the social services, it gets circulated with other agencies. Even if it's a little thing, even it's just, oh, mum and dad's having a domestic. Well, if there's a child there, that gets reported. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not know this. And it's not the police's fault. The police have a duty to report any interaction with young people. It might just be an over-keen social worker who's going through her, daily checks. And it's just, oh, what's this happened at number 27 Lombard Road? And they see, a brother beating the kid. Is that a safeguarding issue? Is that a risk issue? And then also, you also take into facts culturally. Oh, okay. Well, and then look at what happened in Haringey. I think perfect example with Baby P. It was like you had reports, nobody was dealing with it. Now we're of that. Now it's 2017. Whether you hit your child or not, you will be scrutinized. And unfortunately, that is the law put in place.
So, the children were taken from the parents.
The children were taken from the parents. They went.
Okay, now taken to care.
Yes.
And that's still, this brother still hits the younger brother or sister. What happens in care? Should. Now we've got this very conscious brother of his right. Now I'm your brother.
Yeah.
You can't talk to me anyhow.
Yeah.
Now in care, he hits the brother again, causes injury. So what's the problem?
Again, the carer, which in this case would be me, would be questioned. I will go through the same process as the parents because I haven't safeguarded the younger one. You're supposed to be there to monitor the behavior of your children.
And the laws overstepping its bounds sometimes when it comes to...
Well,
I don't think it's overstepping its boundaries. What I think is from African coming into a Western society, into the UK, is that we do not understand the laws. And because we do not understand the laws, it makes it very difficult for us to parent.
But it's 2017.
Alexander, sometimes is the law not twisted against the ethnic community?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
What is the level of criminal justice systems against an average black ethnic
Well,
community in the United
yes,
Kingdom?
and that I do agree with. You're more than likely to be prosecuted if you're a black person. But if we're talking about it in a social aspect of things,
What does it matter? Social, environmental,
I think it's two
as
different
long
things.
as
Criminality is different from social aspect of looking after a child. What I'm saying is that socially, what normally happens is always what we call knee-jerk reaction. Baby P. When Baby P happened, what happened? New legislation, new things. When Victoria Columbia died over 15, 20 years ago, there was new legislations to that effect. And unfortunately, that legislation, I don't believe is for a particular community. Hey, you know what, you Nigerian community, let's give you another legislation, Act of Parliament. Not at all. What I believe is that every single incident we have new legislation. And I do not feel that it's targeted to a particular community. But I think when I say 2017, it's about time parents start to learn and ask for help. If they don't know it, if they don't know the law, well, maybe it's about time you actually look yourself in the mirror and say, actually, maybe it's time for me to seek some help.
Florence, what is the way forward? I'm coming to, let me just quickly, Florence, what is the way forward for the parents in our community?
I would say from my experience that there should be increase in communication within the home, within the family in the home. You see, because...
But I thought you just said there are things you can't just say to your child.
No. When I say communication, that means we don't leave problem to pile up until it bursts one day. You see that? Have regular, sit around the table, having dialogue with your children. Let them open up to say, okay, Mom, the way you smacked me just now, it hurts. You understand? Let the child say it in your presence than to take you to school to go and tell them, because by the time the child take you to school, there's no remedy. We know that. But if you do it to the child, if the child is your friend, the child should be free to tell you, Mom, this is what you did to me, and you can apologize sincerely. And I'm telling you, and in as much you don't do it again, that child will understand that Mommy she meant what she said. And again, parents, we need to remove our pride. We need to talk about our issue and seek for help. That is another thing I realized.
Okay, all right, let me, as I can that, because I've got a few minutes to go. Okay. Cecilia, in the course of doing your job, you've actually come across 1001 incidents, cases. How do you talk to our community, parents in our community, to get out of the problems of social care and social services?
One thing I would say, hitting your child does not resolve the problem. It doesn't do anything whatsoever. If a child is naughty, or if a child misbehaves...
Can the parents actually deal with that hate with the child?
Yes, you can.
Even in the white community, they do hit their child.
Yes, they do. But yes, you can do without
Does the law say you
child.
shouldn't hit your child?
Well, the law doesn't...
Let me ask the policeman. Does the law say you shouldn't hit your child?
No.
No.
The law says you can modern chastisement.
Yes.
No? A modern chastisement, but you mustn't leave the bruise.
No bruise.
Yes, not taking a belt to a child and leaving mark on the child. I would say, do not hit a child. Exactly. I would say, talk with a child. Exactly. You start from a very early age. I have got a 11-month-old grandson, and he knows when I say no, it means no. I don't hit him. I just say no very sternly, and he knows. He will turn around and look at me. And it's the same way. These two children that came to me, the younger one was so, oh, you're not going to hit me? I said, no, you can go to your room, or your pocket money will be delayed, or you will not go out with your friends like you want to. But I would not hit a child. As a parent, my very first child would tell you that I did hit her. I come from an African background in Sierra Leone. When I was a child, I was hit when I was younger if I did something wrong. So, yes, my very first child would say, don't say that, Mom, because you hit me. But since after that, as I progress in living in the UK and in training myself and in my profession, I realized that hitting a child does not resolve the problem. I could remember cousins of mine saying, I'll go and enjoy myself, I'll do what I want to do. After all, when I come home, I'll get licked.
All right. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us on the program today. Alessandra Quia, thank you for sharing with us your experience in the force and in the community and as a grown-up child with us. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program. Florence, thank you for coming on the show. And Cecilia, even though you came a little bit late, but you still met something, you still were able to share with us from your practical experience what should be and what should not be. Thank you so much. And to Toyin Bodori, who facilitated this, Toyin, thank you for coming on the show and thank you for bringing all these great minds and brilliant people to join us on the program today. Pleasure. My name is Tunde Alabi. I'm your host. Enjoy the rest of your evening.